Well, hello everyone. It's been so long. Welcome back to the lab, where we are attempting to build a Twitch bot in Go. So I wanted to come back to this. This is not the normal lab time. This is more or less a random time. And Space Duck Toaster, thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. How you doing? Wanted to do kind of an offshoot episode again, where we basically jump in because I have an inspiration to do so. So what I've been doing over the last couple hours, more or less, is I've been ideating over a couple of ideas with how we're kind of going forward with configuration, how we're going forward with the metric store. Now that PubSub has come back into the mix, what does that look like and how do we get there? And yeah, that's kind of where I think I fall. And I wanted to revisit this in this very non-standard time slot for this. So that's what we're gonna do. Welcome along for the ride. I was Toaster Pastry 73. Got it. Okay, that makes a little more sense. I actually thought that I had started streaming and a new viewer had popped in. So hello, welcome back. Let's get the code screen up for a second. So where we were yesterday, I think it was yesterday morning, is we had started looking at PubSub again because we effectively created a diff. Oh, and I actually don't have this. I don't have this pushed up yet. So let's get push origin current branch. Is that going to fail? Of course it is. Let's do ZSHRC. For some reason, doing a ZSHRC works, and then get push origin current branch works. I really need to figure out why that's not working, but details. So we do pull request, we come up to here, and let's take a look. Space ducks are your proud creation. That's kind of fair. Hello, Really Frank. Welcome back to another unscheduled lab entry, which I think may be a little short, but we'll kind of see. So to kind of catch up everybody as to where we left off, yesterday we came back to the idea of a PubSub client with a focus on the channel point redemption. I was very sad that channel point redemption was not a thing because there's actually value in having channel point redemptions be a thing in a couple of other places. And so what we started to do was we revisited what channel point redemptions look like in terms of configuration. So we still have this idea of feature enabled, true or false. And then we started talking about the mappings. So in this case, we were kind of ideating over this idea of, well, for mappings, it's the title. So if you look at the channel points, we have things like hydrate, that's the title. And then, oh, that actually reminds me, I do not actually have the bot running right now. So it would probably help if I actually run the bot. Stream matchbot source, and then go run main.go. I really just need to turn that into a make target, all things considered. Ooh. Right, this is where we left off. So we need to fix this. But let's see here. Okay, so now we have this rolling. So if I do a hydrate, is this still working? It is not still working. Okay, so we need to fix that. But where this PR left off was kind of ideating over this idea of recognizing point redemptions is more or less going to be driven off of title, which, thank you for the stretch, Space Duck Toaster. There we go. Until we find a way to basically map in a more sophisticated fashion. Config now has a new channel ID. So we grab channel ID, which is necessary for PubSub, and it will also be necessary for event sub whenever event sub becomes a viable product. I feel like, again, I've talked about that multiple times. And then we started adding in some error handling. So IRC Connect, IRCWS, not IRS. That's a very different entity. Add in an entry for PubSub, and then we come back to the PubSub client, which I was doing a code review for kind of in my spare time for the PubSub client, and it's a lot cleaner than what we had previously. I quite like it. I quite like the new version, but we have a problem. We have a problem with this part. PubSub read invalid character after top level value. Got to figure out what that is. So this is what I'd like to fix, and then at some point I want to look at the config. There's some elements there. There's some thoughts there. I'm wondering if Viper really makes sense long term. That's kind of the genesis of this stream, this kind of off-kilter stream. But it's also the genesis of like thinking about configuration from the application's perspective. Does it make sense to continue to do in the way that we do? And if the answer is no, then what are alternative solutions that we can look at? But first, what the hell is going on with PubSub? So let's do a quick comparison if I can do this properly. So where do we get to? We get to a listen. We get the response, which in theory is when we get to here. And then the errors, PubSub message parse is where we're failing here. We're failing at this part. So this is because of the envelope. And I think this is because, to really Frank's point from yesterday, I think this is because we're just kind of jumping directly into basically parsing the message as if it was a valid message type, whereas what we really have is we have ping pong and we have this kind of like type of response, and then there's no data. There's just basically an error and a nonce. So what I think probably makes sense to do, to really Frank's point from before, is we more or less need to validate this part. Really, Frank, if you're around, do you have any thoughts around how we would do this? So there's kind of a diff in types, and this is something that I think we ran into with the PubSub client before, where we have this response, which is type response, error, and nonce. So in effect, data is not a field. So yeah, what do we do here? Oh, you prepared an example for me, my man. Okay, so what are we looking at? Let me bring this over here. Type envelope is a type and a message. Use an interface here, so the struct can be used easily for both marshalling and unmarshalling. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Now, out of curiosity, would this what's the phrase that I'm looking for? Would something like omit empty or omit missing make sense? Test unmarshal. Okay. Envelope message. Set the interface to a JSON.raw message instance so that we can unmarshal later. Oh, interesting. No worries, Space Duck Toaster. I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you so much, and hope you have a good one. Okay. So this comes back to that idea of JSON.raw message, which is interesting. And I think we had started down the path of using JSON.raw message. Technically, we did it here, but so this is where things get a little interesting, because I believe if I pull up PubSub again, so we have this type nonce error, which nonce we don't necessarily care about. Error is apparently present, at least in this case. But then when we talk about receiving a message, the only thing that they mention is data. So it's like we have a roughly consistent model. Type is at least either type response or type message, and then data versus error is where the diff happens. So would this be a case where something like omit empty would make sense? Or would that just be something that... Would that be more something that that you think like JSON.raw message would make sense? I have no idea what that is, but it got downvoted into oblivion. Woof. I don't know that omit empty necessarily makes sense. This is also just kind of a theory that this error... What is this character? What is this? I would use JSON-parser.get to get just the type first, then unmarshal to the correct JSON structure. You know, I'm starting to agree. Oh, right. That's the null terminated string. Right. Okay. Okay. Bugger. Yes. So if I'm understanding this correctly, what we could do is we could do JSON-parser.get. We could use this to get the type, validate the type. If the type is a response, which would be this case, then we could parse it one way if we needed to. Although I think that response is pretty straightforward. It's like we get a response, we grab error, make sure it's an empty string. If it's not, we fail out. Otherwise, skip along. If type is not response, if type is message, then we would do our parsing accordingly. I think I like that approach. So let's quit out of this. Let's do a go get and go get -u github.com. Oh, Jesus. That didn't do what I was expecting it to do. Go get -u JSON parser. All right. So now if we go into the PubSub client, okay, so this would be JSON parser dot get, and this would be buff type. Oops, for this we need to quick fix that. Get returns what? Ooh. Oh, that returns a lot. Oh dear. Okay. So let me take a look at this again. Oh, do we have like a get string? Yeah. Okay. That's a little better. So get string, so type, or we want to message type error equals JSON parser.get. Oh, no worries. No worries. If error does not equal to nil, then in this case, log dot, I feel like this would be a log dot warn case of unknown type, or type field not found, got message plus string. And then we can return errors dot wrap pub sub read error, something like that. From here we can switch message type, I think. Case response. So this ignore, as this is a response to the listen command. Message. Here is where we would do processing for this, I think. And then we could have a default log.warn unknown message skipping plus string. So let's validate this. Switch message type, which in this case is JSON parser.get string. If error does not equal to nil in this case, then we didn't receive our type field. Let me validate that that is indeed a thing. Type is response, which I think makes sense. Type is message, seemingly makes sense. So then I guess now that we have JSON, what's the phrase I'm thinking of? Now that we have JSON.raw message, or I'm sorry, now that we have JSON parser, do we really need the envelope? Or do we just say, okay, well, we know now that type is message, so extract the data field. Don't reparse the type field in the inner structs. I think, yep. You answered my question. So in this case, it feels like it would make more sense to do something like data is, what would this be? JSON parser dot get. What do we have? Get buff, and then key would be I think it's data. Yeah, type message data is blah. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff here. Underscore error. So we would do something like this, I think. So we wouldn't need... We wouldn't need this. So I think this becomes data. And then actually, do we need to do this? I feel like it would make more sense to just do data.topic. Like extract data.topic. Right? So if we do this, so this would be topic is data topic. So in this case, if error does not equal to nil, then log.error, invalid message, pub sub, invalid message, brrr. Pub sub, invalid message. Do something like that. And then, so we don't need the envelope anymore, in theory. At this, we would just need to do topic. Actually, we wouldn't even need to do that. We would just need to do change to this. So in this case, this wouldn't be a get. This would be a get string. So if strings.has prefix topic channel point topic, then we can do the extract, I think. So this would be channel point JSON would be JSON parser dot get. This would be the raw buff, or this would be raw buff, and then here would be data. What do they call it? Is it data.message? Is it that shenaniganery? Yeah, data.message, 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 data.message. Perfect. Okay. In theory, this works. In practice, who the hell knows? So this would be underscore error. There's another bit of logic here. This needs to just be that. At least they're a little consistent. You know what? I appreciate that. Let's see here. So this would be channel point JSON, I think. Yep. So if error does not equal to nil, alternatively, though, we could be a little lazy. I'm not a fan of that, if I'm being perfectly honest. Oops, not JSON, JSON. There we go. Okay, let's evaluate for a second. What is this? Too few arguments to log.error. Oh, right. Okay. Sorry, I'm just now catching up with chat. Okay, so stepping back and stepping through this again. Hello, Dry Bones. Thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome back to the lab. How you doing, mate? I know, right? This, ironically, is a more natural time for me. Because this is after work. But the primary reason that I stream as early as I do is because most of my viewers are European, or at least outside of the US. So yeah, this is a more natural time for me to stream, but I never stream during this time. Admittedly, mostly because by the time that I get to this point, like, I'm after work and my brain is just fried. But thank you so much for stopping by, mate. It's good to see you. Okay, so let's walk through this. Bytes underscore error equals JSON.parse buff data message and then JSON.onMarshal bytes. That'd be this part, I think is what you're getting at. Let me double check. Okay, back to homework. No worries, Dry Bones. Thank you so much for stopping by, mate. I appreciate it. Good luck on your homework. Hope it goes well. So if it's a message, we extract the topic. If the topic is the channel point topic, or at least it has the prefix of channel point topic, then we grab data.message, the byte form of that, and then we do a JSON.onMarshal. Technically speaking, both of these can fail in this case. So both of these unmarshalings could fail. Which they're actually different reasons. So in this case, it would be if error does not equal to nil, then we do log.error. Technically, it's still an invalid message. Technically. And then in this case, oh, well, actually, pub sub, Data.message not found. I think that's where, yeah, in this case, we would be saying, so not just invalid message. I think we could be smarter about this. Data.topic not found. And then same thing for here, not found. Sorry, I don't know what happened to my brain there, but if the topic, if JSON parser get string data topic doesn't find the thing that we're looking for, that's a failure. I feel like we could abstract this, but we're gonna duplicate it for now. Let me grab this, plonk it here. And then here would be message error. Oof. This to me just feels like duplication. Like it's almost like log.error should produce it, but anyway. And then same thing here. Pub sub data.message not found. Format that up a little bit. And now down here, similar case, if error does not equal to nil, pub sub data.message invalid. We do that. Otherwise, finally, we get down to client.handle channel point redemption, which in our case right now, we're just logging the channel point redemption. But I think that gets us to where we want to be. I think. There's a good way to find out. Yeet, tested in prod. Okay, the error went away. So that's a start. Oh. Oh, wow. Oh, it's because... Oh. You remember when I said that I was very sad that message was just this like JSON stringified version of an object? Christ. That answers the question for where all of this shit comes from. At least. Damn it. Okay. So I think what that means is that we can't do this necessarily. Because channel point JSON is actually a string. But can we do this? I don't think this solves the problem. Yeah, I don't think that solves the problem. Let's find out just for posterity's sake. Oop, can't use that redemption. But that... Is it perfect though? Oh my goodness, that's silly. All right, so just to kind of review here real quick. Previously, we were doing get with the assumption that it was just a valid JSON string, which was parsable. But what we were actually getting was this, where message is a JSON stringified form of the object that's being sent. Do I agree with that? Hell no. But whatever. So the fix, at least for this case, appears to be, well, instead just go straight for JSON parser.getString. That gets us the stringified version of the message, and the stringified version of the message can be parsed in this fashion. Can you tell that I'm disappointed? But at the same time, I'm also happy that it works. So let's see here. So this is the request, and then this is what we end up with after we do the final conversion. So we end up with type data user, which is good, redeemed at, reward, title is stretch, prompt is nothing, cost is 50, is enabled is true, is pause is false, and stock is false. Okay, that's interesting. And user input is empty. It works. Holy shit. I'm not necessarily happy that it works, but at the same time, I am happy that it works. Like, is this not like the greatest representation of what a developer goes through on a day-to-day basis? It's like, it works, but why? And then you have to ask the question, but why? This is not pretty by any stretch of the imagination, but fantastic suggestion for JSON parser, really, Frank. That definitely simplified things quite a bit, so cheers to that. Okay, so let's double check this. Type field not found, got message, blah, and then we fail out with a pub sub read error. I feel like we could be a little bit smarter on this. Pub sub unknown message format, perhaps. We'll at least see this. And then where are we consuming the read? Here. Not here. Here we are. So we're doing this part. JSON parser is perfect for this type of weirdness. I agree. JSON parser is a fantastic tool. I am absolutely adding that to my repertoire. So cheers to that. Yep, so we ignore responses. For messages, we're now parsing the topic. So parse topic for the appropriate unmarshal call. Technically, in the case of what we're doing right now, this is just for channel point redemptions, but there's nothing saying that we couldn't move other things over here now that we kind of have this infrastructure. I don't know that I would necessarily do so, but we could. Let's see here. So if this is a channel point topic, then we We do a get string off of data message. I feel like this is potentially reusable, not necessarily set on the topic. I feel like we could do something like this. We could move this up here. Which would allow us to be a little more generic. All right, this is going to complain because it's a message JSON, which is what we should be doing. Message JSON. So now if we were to add more topics to this, we already have the parsing done for the message. Then we just switch on the topic effectively, and then we can choose accordingly. Better? I agree. I agree. Then we still have a default. Oh, okay. Here we go. Ooh, so we don't have Pong, which I think we can go ahead and add real quick. Case response, case Pong, ignore, as this is handled by the ping pong routine. That way we don't get a bunch of warnings for it. And oh, I thank you, Spooky. And hello, Spooky. Thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. This is my my Dungeons and Dragons shirt. This is a shirt that a very good friend of mine got me for Christmas, I think it was. She kind of went, you know, you're a D&D nerd. I saw this shirt. It reminded me of you, so I got it for you. And I was like, oh, you're absolutely right. I am a D&D nerd. Okay, so let's come back to here for a second. Save that, close that, bring that back up. So in theory, we shouldn't see a warning message like this. We should just see ping pong. We don't see an error message for this anymore, which is fan-freaking-tastic. Holy shit, chat. I think we actually got to a workable, usable state for PubSub. What a wild concept. Huh. Ping pong. I am well pleased. Easy. It only took us like 6 iterations to get here, right? Easy peasy. All right. Hell yeah. So while that's running in the background, I am going to do get status, get diff, double check to make sure. Absolutely. That's a fantastic recommendation. Log.warn. Yep, that's all good. That's all good. That's all good. Get at all. And get commit. So for this, we want to say fix initial message parsing with JSON parser as recommended by Really Frank. Really Frank, do you have any aversion to being referenced to in git commits like this? Just before I make a git history on the repository? Excellent. I personally prefer to give credit where credit is due, so I don't want to take credit for something that I didn't do. So git push origin current branch. And let's double check this. This is still going, so we'll give that a moment as we come back over here. So let's refresh this view. I'll be in the Git history forever. Exactly. That's what I wanted to make sure. Like, I would love to immortalize any viewer that contributes to this code, even if you don't contribute to the code directly via pull request or fork and so forth. I personally love the idea of immortalizing immortalizing viewers when they make such recommendations. So let's see here. Let's double check this. Looks good. Mention about PubSub. That's still the same. This is still the same. Sorry, the cat was trying to get extra food. And then PubSub. I need to double check that max message size of 2048 actually makes sense. I feel like this should be much larger. Hey, there's confirmation that it doesn't blow up on ping pong, so excellent. Eventually, just to call it out, I do want to write tests for this. So we'll be able to validate things like, making sure that we don't generate a warning when ping pong comes in or when the response comes in. That is absolutely a test case that we should account for. Just to call that out. I think that's still pretty good. Read is now a lot more sophisticated. It's a lot bigger, but it's also sequential. So to that idea of code reading like prose, I feel like this more or less meets that requirement. Handle channel point redemption. We should absolutely move this to the bot though. Like right now, we're not really doing anything with channel point redemptions, but we could at least filter this to the bot. Let's do that. So let's come back to PubSub. Now PubSub needs to implement bot.client, if I remember that correctly. Bot.
So, how are you holding up? Because I'm a potato.
Oh, thank you so much, Guitar, and welcome, Raiders. Welcome to the lab. Thank you so much for stopping by. How are you doing, mate? I see that the auto raider has done its job. You are playing Breath of the Wild. Okay, one of my favorite games. Go on, tell me more. How is it going? And thank you, bot, for saying hello to JTV. I feel like JTV should absolutely be on the list of ignores. We'll add that here in just a second. The Crumpet Gang is here. Powerful Crumpet Gang. How are you doing, mate? How was Breath of the Wild? Did I put this in bot.go? Hey chat, what do you think about moving client outside of this bot.go into just client.go? To me, it feels like since client is an externally facing concept, it makes more sense for that to be its own file. What do you guys think? I got one for yes. We beat the big elephant and got to Goron City despite some Randy Fitch Hulk Hogan. I know exactly what you're talking about. That's awesome, though. Congrats on beating the giant elephant. I will admit, giant elephant gave me a heck of a time. Like, it wrecked me, not gonna lie. All right. I got Spooky's judgment saying move it to its own file, and personally, I very much value Spooky's opinion. So, boop. We're gonna make a new file. We're gonna say touch bot client.go. Add that to the list and bring that up. Client.go. Boop. Package. This is still a. Chad, I have to be real with you. There was bourbon in this glass. And I'm a lightweight. The puzzles hurt my smooth brain. You and me both, Guitar. Like, I adore Legend of Zelda. I love that franchise. The puzzles hurt my brain. We know. Whoops. So this is now in the bot. Is this not? Look, Guitar. Sometimes a day is particularly difficult. And sometimes you just need a little bit of alcohol to take the edge off. Also, I call bullshit on that statement. Just saying. Okay, now my question though is why would this suddenly be I was gonna say that doesn't make sense. Oh, I love that idea. Guitar, do you slip whiskey into your tea? Is your tea spiked, Guitar? Be honest. Now that I can respect. So bot represents the, how do we want to put this? Bot handles various feature processing based on stream events? Something like that. Maybe you can send incoming PubSub events to the bot on a channel. Yes, so that is actually what the concept of a client is. So inside of the bot, we have this interface called client. And in client, we have this set destination, which accepts a channel of bot.event. And the way that IRC actually does this is that IRC stores a reference to this channel internally. And this is how IRC sends messages to the bot. So in effect, actually, we could just copy And then on PubSub, down here, the client, so set destination sets the outbound channel for bot.events the client will send to the bot specifically. So in this case, we have something like that. So client in this case would be PubSub. Set destination. And then client dot outbound events equals outbound. Do something like that. And now we've satisfied that interface. So what we can now do is inside of main.go, I think is where we currently do this. We say chatbot.register client. And then the bot will then say, okay, this client that we're registering, set destination and give that client the channel that the bot is listening for new events on. So it's a very indirect abstraction, but we do basically do that. We have a client, or sorry, we have a channel inside of the bot. The bot will then, every time that it gets a request to register a client, it will give that client its channel so that that channel can be populated with bot events, if that makes any sense. Also, a thank you for the hydrate guitar. And double checking, it shows up. Channel points show up. We've done it, chat. We've done it. Oh, that makes me so happy. The bot is finally coming back. It's come back to registering channel point redemptions. Yes. Now the only caveat is that we actually have to make it work. We have to make it do things. But we're getting there. It makes sense, I think. Yeah, it kind of... It noodles my brain a little bit, to be perfectly honest. So, in a nutshell, client IRC and PubSub are considered to be clients, which, by the way, I am intending to add a file into this repository, more or less called architecture.md. And architecture is meant to describe some of these concepts, but I gotta drop out. It's almost 1 a.m. Holy shit. Thank you so much for the raid guitar. It's a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much for stopping by the lab, and I hope you have a good evening. Thank you, mate. Don't blow up the lab. Can't guarantee that, unfortunately. But we shall try our best. All right. But so the pattern that I intend to describe inside of this architecture markdown file is that a client is a thing that can send messages to the bot. So that's where this bot client interface comes into play. We're kind of giving control to the bot on how it actually interfaces with these clients, how it exposes an inbound pipe of bot events that it understands. Right now, it's a set destination as a channel of events, but it could change in the future. How we deal with that is kind of like a future concern. But if a class implements client bot.client, then inside of main, I can do this. I can say chatbot.register client blah, which in this case, this would not be IRC. This would be PubSub. So on the bot, register client says, okay, if you implement that client interface, I know what to do with you. I will tell you what my inbound channel is, And if you publish events to that channel, I will consume them. That's kind of the idea behind it.
Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
Salty Moth, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the lab. Digital lab coats will be available upon request. However, we cannot guarantee that they will actually fit because I may or may not have been drinking. So you can't really guarantee any type of scientific method to the measurements. But welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Cheers. All right. So by doing this, we're now in a point where PubSub is no longer just logging these messages to the bot. What we should be doing is saying client.outbound events, send it a bot.event. Now, this is where things get a little funny because handle channel point redemption is effectively converting from a channel point redemption as we know it in PubSub to an event that the bot understands. So if I go to bot.event, we do have a point redemption type. And I think we also have a constructor for it. We do. Okay. So new points events. So EVT equals bot.new points event. And this is more or less where we do the mapping. So we can do things like EVT.title equals message dot I'm not gonna lie, I've forgotten what this oh, here we go. Okay, so it's data redemption reward title. Let me validate that real quick. Data redemption reward title is hydrate. Okay, perfect. So data.redemption.reward.title EVT dot sender message dot data dot redemption dot user dot display name. This is a very nested struct. Oof. What else will we need to know? A wild Toby has appeared. Hello, Toby. Have you come to be a supervisor? Have you come to do a code review? Sweet boy. Yeah, this is for anybody that doesn't know, this is Toby. This is my sweet boy. This is the supervisor. This is how work actually gets done. Is lurking on guitar string because of schoolwork. It's 2 a.m. here. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for stopping by, Salty Moth. I appreciate you being here at 2 a.m. Madness, but thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab, and I hope you sleep well. Cheers, mate. Toby would like to say good night. Yes, this is Toby's natural state. He's just such a sweet boy. Yeah. I can literally just do this like all day long. Toby doesn't care. As long as he's getting snuggles. Right, buddy? No. All right. Well, here you all get a free cat cam. So is there anything else that we need to capture as part of this? We got title, we got sender. So in this case, just as a reminder for bot.event, title was specifically added for point redemptions so that we could capture the reward title. So hydrate or waste your points, or whatever it's represented as when you click on the channel point redemption. Hydrate, stretch, highlight my message, keyboard song, etc. That's what we would get as part of the title. Sender would be the user that redeemed those channel points. I guess we could also do channel point.amount equals message.data.redemption.reward. The fact that Vim knows to autocomplete that is fucking amazing. Can I just say? So we got title, we got display name, we got cost. Now there is technically a user prompt that we're not accounting for. So do we need to capture prompt? I think the answer is yes eventually. But for right now, I don't think the answer is yes. But this would be for redemptions that require user input. So I think it's actually on this. So message.data.redemption. Where are you? Reward. No. User input. There it is. User input is a string, and this is any arbitrary information that may have been collected as part of the user redeeming that. So I think it's not a question of do we need to. I think it's a question of we need to account for that use case. But we can do that as a to-do for this POC. You want to get down, buddy? We also technically have, here we go. We also have a Zelda that's hanging out in the background. Ignore my last message about the type field. I see now the channel point events message has that field. Oh, no worries. No worries. Let me actually bring this up. It's actually a fair question. Like if I come down to the to this part, I had this question when we implemented this initially. Why do we need a type? Like what does type represent here? If I'm being perfectly honest, I don't think it is necessary. If we're really thinking about it. Hey, Officer Wolf, thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. How are you doing, mate? How's the bot coming along? It's coming along. Viability, for sure. We've gotten to the point now where we actually have. Well, we got a lot of shit in this bot right now, not gonna lie. So Twitch can mix it up later and make it. You are not wrong, really, Frank. I don't see a reason for it to exist today. Literally the only reason that it exists is because I used the JSON to go struct parser. I literally just copied this, pasted it into here, got the struct out, and just dropped that into the code and said, fuck it. If they send it, I will take it. Doing good. Just been starting a new venture into the stock market. Go on. I know everybody's going to ask that meme question of, have you been following Game Stonks? I'm not going to because, well, stonks. But that's good. I'm glad to hear that that it's going well for you. Is it one of those? Is it super fulfilling, the type of stuff that you're doing? Let's see here. So we don't need that. We don't need that. We got that implemented. So I think we're good. I think. Okay, let's come back here. So only $100 to play with, and just going with that so far. $20 in 2 weeks. That's really good. Hot damn. As somebody that when I was in college, ages ago at this point, I very vividly remember a classmate of mine. We were in computer architecture, I think it was. So we're sitting there and we're trying to build circuits on this god awful program. And I just happened to look over, and he's on a trading platform, and I'm like, "What are you doing? Like, that looks interesting. What are you doing? That is totally not circuits, and I like it." And he goes, "Oh, I was just following this one company that appears to be having a thing going on with them." And just watching him like keep track of that, and keeping track of the like how much stock he has, if he's selling versus buying. He was definitely one of those day traders. And I watched some massive fluctuations in like the money he gained versus the money that he lost. And hats off to him for keeping up to it. I admit I personally don't really participate, but it was kind of fun to watch. And I've kind of toyed around with this idea of building like a stock market like simulation app, grab data from the stock market and just make like historical simulations, but I'm doing a shit ton of work right now, so where's the time to do that? All right. So what I was kind of thinking here was whether or not it made sense to do something similar to what we do in so I think I want to do something similar that I did with IRC, where we basically just have this this abstraction. I don't even think we really need the abstraction, to be perfectly honest, but hey. But I'm thinking, does it really make sense to have this, or does it make more sense to just put this logic up here? I think I'll keep it here, but this basically gives us the tie back to the bot, and so now we need a handler for the bot for channel point redemptions, and what we can effectively do is just that, I think. Bot channel point handler.go. So if we look at the bot package, which I probably should introduce a handlers package, let's be for real. We have the bits handler, we have the command handler, logging handler, RAID handler, subs handler. Same thing for the channel point handler. Oops, channel. Oh dear, what is happening? Package bot. This is. Oh no! No, it's okay. Let's see. Do well if you use a $1,400 stimulus check to add it from my portfolio. Not getting any younger. Just turned 29 yesterday. Hey, happy birthday to you, mate. Well, happy belated birthday, I guess, at this point, but cheers to that. Happy birthday. I still need to find a way to immortalize you in some way. Immortalize you in this code base. But one way. My rule is if a funct is only used once, place it inline. Same. There's still that kind of like that C developer mentality of a function is a call. So if it doesn't make sense for that to be a call, then inline it or use the inline operator and let the compiler optimize that. But yeah, I agree. Like if it's not used anywhere else, then just inline it. 25,000 functions. You're not wrong. This will be a channel point handler. And actually what I need is any handler. We'll take the RAID handler. So this would be register channel point handler. And for the time being, we won't do anything with it. This would be like that. That would be like that. Yeah, like that. And then for the time being, we can just do a log.info, I think. mt.sprintf plus percent plus v. And then we can just take evt. So we need to import sprintf, and then this needs to be not Martian log. This would need to be a Medjbot. I'm really not doing myself a favor by calling this log the more that I look at this, but this I think will give us the exact same functionality. Let's see. Okay, so now if I do hydrate, it makes it all the way to the bot. Hell yeah. Oh, that makes me happy. Let's go. And also I'm gonna get a stretch in. Oh, let's go. The bot is recognizing channel point redemptions. That is awesome. It's not feature complete. Again, we still have this this whole thing of like it doesn't well, it doesn't do this part. It doesn't capture all channel point redemptions. Well, it could, I think. We could do that. In which case that would capture user input. I don't think I have of course I don't have any channel point redemptions that require user input, but I could probably, like, feature requests would probably make sense to have as a user input. Okay. No, this would be a channel point handler. There we go. That satisfies Ale. Ale was complaining because I wasn't actually adding a comment, which is kind of what Ale is for. The commenting, right? That's something that I love about Go, and I love about the tooling around Go. It basically says, hey, you got a thing that's exported, the capital, so it's something that somebody else is going to consume. You should really put a comment on this thing. I love that. I love that enforcement. And I didn't have to do anything to set that up. I literally just have a linter. I love it. Okay. Yeah, we've actually gotten to I think we've gotten back to parity. Get log -n1. So that's still a thing. Let's see here. Get commit. For this, we want to say, actually, let's do a get diff staged. So that's good. That's the channel point handler. We did technically split out a client into its own file, which is not necessarily PubSub specific, but I'll include that as an enhancement. And in fact, let's actually do this properly. Let's or not get checkout. This would be a get reset. Client.go. That way, this commit is very specific to the PubSub side of things. So get commit proxy, or not proxy, but pass channel point redemption messages to the bot. Currently only logged. And now we can do a get add and get commit. Split client into its own file. That way, at least if we needed to cherry pick things that aren't specific to PubSub, we could cherry pick that change out, and it would be a little bit easier. Let's see here. Let me catch up with chat. You could change outbound events channel to take an interface and type switch on the events in the bot, which would allow you to do outbound events redeem event. Oh, I see. Okay, so to make sure that I'm following on that, so effectively it would be the outbound event would accept an interface. Interface is just a blanket. And then on the bot, we would do that processing. Is that kind of what you're talking about? So instead of having the clients convert to bot.event, the bot would convert to bot.event. Interesting. Is that coffee? Yeah. Coffee. Well, this is coffee. This is water. This is the alcohol. Yes, I have three different glasses for three different purposes. I see what you're saying, really, Frank. I think it does the same thing. It becomes a question, though, of what makes more sense: the clients being bot aware or the bot being client aware. Every time Nojo and I put the kettle on, we refer to it as Medge's coffee machine. I love that that's become a thing. And I'm not I'm not ashamed of it at all. Let's see here. Let me refresh this. Split bot decline into its own file. So now that's represented here. Channel point handler. This is technically the POC of channel point handler. We're not actually doing the thing where we parse config, figure out based on the channel point that's being redeemed, what do we actually do with it, et cetera, et cetera. So we're not actually honoring this part. And actually, that's a good point. So we do need to handle this case, I think. So let's pop into main real quick. So in this case, we would say if conf dot or enable all. Technically, we would not connect to PubSub unless channel points was enabled. Key point here. We wouldn't connect to PubSub in this particular iteration. We wouldn't connect to PubSub unless we were listening for channel points. It's not the long-term way of doing it, but we could actually add this behind the channel points enabled feature flag. If we use PubSub for other features, it wouldn't make sense to guard PubSub creation behind this feature flag. So the thought here is that we're only using PubSub for channel point redemptions. But if we decided that we would migrate the use of PubSub elsewhere, then it doesn't make sense to initialize PubSub inside of the channel point feature flag. But for now, because the only thing that we're using PubSub for is feature flag, is channel points, I'm basically guarding that around the is channel points enabled, which doesn't exist at the moment. So we do need to add that. Either way around will work. That's just how I would do it if I started from scratch. Absolutely fair, really, Frank. That's kind of what I'm thinking of here, is that it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, but then the question becomes, does it make sense to do? Does it make sense to do that way, or does it not? I think technically I get away either or. Let me do this. So channel points enabled is channel points dot enabled return flag value. This would be like, oh shit. Like so. Do like that. So let me check config.yaml. This is channel points.enabled, channel points.enabled. So that lines up. Inside of main.go, we say conf.channelpointsenabled or enable all. Then we initialize PubSub. Then we register the client, and off we go. Now, right now I have this disabled. So if I were to come over here now and do go run main.go, oh. Did I not save this? Channel points that enabled is false. Oh, or enable all, which of course I have enable all. And now I can see that I don't have all enabled and PubSub is not initialized. I like it. But if I do enable all, then PubSub returns. We're back to listening to channel points, and oh my god, that makes me so happy. Let's see here. Let's do a get diff. Yep. Get add, get commit, gate, initialization of PubSub behind channel points enabled feature flag for now. I'll say this has been a hell of a productive 2 days. I really like the way that this has turned out. So client is now moved into its own file. So we're gonna call this out as part of the change log. Move bot.client to its own file since it's being implemented by multiple clients now. So add PubSub client back to handle channel point redemptions. Add channel point handler in the bot, only logging redemption for now. What else have we done? So the channel point handler is back. The PubSub client is back. Oh yeah. We should absolutely call this out. Add JSON parser lib for easier JSON extraction. I feel like this should probably be the first thing since this is the meat of the PR. We're adding PubSub client back to handle channel point redemptions. We added JSON parser lib for easier JSON extraction in PubSub due to wonky JSON differences. Just want to call that out explicitly. That's why that lib exists. We moved bot.client to its own file since it's being implemented by multiple clients. We added the the channel point redemption handler. And I think that covers it. So we're going to create this PR. Admittedly, I'm creating the PR for posterity's sake, but in case anybody wants to. And if you missed it from the last couple of pull requests, we now have GitHub Actions. GitHub Actions is now our CI, and it makes me so bloody happy. I love GitHub Actions. I really love it. I do. Chat. I am so pleased and so proud at how far this meta project that was created as nothing more than my kind of introduction to Twitch and Twitch streaming. Look at where we are. That's so bloody cool. I love it. Any objections to this? Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to leave this. I'm going to leave this up for the time being because unfortunately I don't have time. I do have to end the stream here, but I need to add tests. So I'm going to add this as to-dos. To-do. So we need tests for PubSub and channel point handler. I absolutely, at a bare minimum, need to add tests for those two concepts. And we already have a pattern in IRC for what that looks like, so that should be a relatively easy fix. And same thing for PubSub handler, because we don't, or for a channel point handler, because we're not really doing anything with the channel point redemptions just yet. This is more or less a POC. But at a bare minimum, I should at least have a test that says channel point should receive a message, it should log it out. And then we can update that test accordingly. But holy shit, look at where we've gotten with this. But for the time being, I think I am going to leave it here, as I do need to call it. I have some other things I need to get to, but what a whirlwind of the last couple of days for the lab. That is a hell of productivity, I would say. So until next time, though, we're going to call it there. Thank you all so much for joining us. Welcome to this random lab event. I'm having a hell of a time doing these kind of offset lab instances. But again, the lab will be coming back on its normally scheduled Saturday morning. If these are just kind of random events as I get motivated to do so. But until next time, thank you all so much for joining. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next lab. Take care, everybody.